for all of our AP government semester projects is to have a change system, to make some sort of impact on the way that things work in the grand scheme of our government. And in order to attempt that, I wanted to work with something that's fairly close to home. Something that not only motivated me to make a difference, but hopefully something that will inspire you all to take action as well. So for that reason, I'd like to talk to you about the internet and the way that our government is looking and interacting with it. So of course, a very recent aspect of this, as I'm sure you've all heard about, are the recent findings regarding the National Security Administration. We basically discovered that the NSA is collecting and storing perhaps much more data than we originally thought they were. And this was shocking to us, the public, because it reveals that the government is allowing or even promoting the idea that the web is not a private form of communication. So that was the sort of exigency that prompted me to research this topic. In looking at the legal aspects of exactly what the NSA is doing, a particular law or act came to mind. It's called the Freedom of Information Act. And the Freedom of Information Act basically states that anyone, as a US citizen, can send a letter of request to the government saying that they want to know all the personal information that the government has about them. And by federal law, the federal government actually has to respond with all the information that they know. As you can imagine, after the revelations regarding the NSA, many people tried to send in Freedom of Information requests to see exactly what the NSA knows about them. But if you were to do this, you wouldn't receive some massive portfolio of all the dirt the NSA has gathered on you over the years. Instead, you would receive a letter, fairly dense with legalese, so I'll read you an excerpt of it. It says, therefore your request is denied because the fact of the existence or non-existence of responsive records is a currently and properly classified matter in accordance with Executive Order 13526 as set forth in subparagraph C of section 1.4. Thus your request is denied pursuant to the first exemption of the Freedom of Information Act, which provides that the Freedom of Information Act does not apply to matters that are specifically authorized under a criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign relations and are properly classified pursuant to such executive order. Now, if you had a lawyer read over that for you a few times, thank you, what you would see is that they're basically saying that if we think that telling you this information would be a threat to national security, then we don't have to do it. But think of how broad a circumstance that is. In fact, it's so broad that I haven't been able to find a single instance of anybody actually getting a legitimate reply. Everybody I've been able to find who has sent in these Freedom of Information requests has gotten that denial letter. So what it means to us is that the government's going to be a bit laconic about this. They're not going to want to talk much, and unfortunately that might mean they're not going to want to change much. So what can we do instead? Is there someone else I can talk to who does these same practices that might be a little bit more willing to talk to me than the government? Well, for this I turn to the business of online advertising. Because online advertising is a viciously invasive practice. Online advertisers keep track of what websites you visit, how often you visit them, and where you are located when you visit them. They do this because the more they know about you, the more they can predict about you, and the more they can predict about you, the more they can sell to you. Online advertising makes a commodity out of people's personal data. If you aren't paying for a product, you are the product. That's what online advertising does. Now, I found a marketing company that really caught my eye. Their name is Relead. And Relead claims that they can identify 97% of people on the internet. That is, they can identify their name, address, home phone number, email address, and even the place where they work for almost everybody on the internet. Websites can take advantage of Relead's service to get access to these details. Of course, at the modest price of $5 per person identified. Relead's website is blatantly diminutive to the prospect of online privacy, labeling anonymous users as failed sales. Now, I tried to contact Relead for an interview in early November, but something odd happened. On the day that I went to contact them, their website suddenly disappeared. Which is weird, but what's weirder is that it's not the first time that has happened. Back in June of this year, Forbes magazine tried to contact Relead for an interview, and their website suddenly went down for a few weeks, came back up a few weeks later. I went to contact them and came down the same day. In fact, if you go to Relead's website today, Relead.com, you still see just that, a blank and empty webpage. If you go to Relead's parent company, the Draugiem Group, the self-advertised largest Latvian IT group, and you scroll down the list of subsidiaries, Relead is noticeably absent from them. Did Relead get shut down? Certainly possible. Their actions have been declared strictly illegal in the European Union, and maybe it's time that the United States joined in. But of course, unless Relead speaks up about anything, we'll have no idea exactly why they seem to have vanished off the face of the web. In light of this, I contacted another marketing company called BlueKai. They specialize in basically the same sort of thing, that is tracking people on the internet. Their CEO has been quoted as comparing people's personal data to oil, saying that from a distance it looks like a useless substance, but when you get up close to it, you realize how to make a fortune off of it. I contacted BlueKai and got no response. So what we see is that the concept of online privacy has been a bit ruled out in the eyes of the government. It's sort of a taboo, something they don't want to talk about. And what they need to realize is that they can't have this reservedness over online privacy forever. There's going to be a tipping point where people have had enough. And we're starting to reach that point now. Because there's an organization called the Electronic Frontier Foundation. And a few weeks ago in Washington, D.C., they held a rally for this cause, for online privacy. And the rally gathered thousands of vocal opponents from across the country in Washington, D.C. to protest the invasiveness of online surveillance, and also to publish the full extent of what the NSA is doing. We, in fact, know about 1% of their full business practice. The rally included not only thousands of people from across the country, but also a number of current and former government employees, including Congressman Justin Amash, former Chief NSA Executive Thomas Drake, and none other than Dennis Kucinich. The rally also had a petition online to accompany it. Over 580,000 people signed the petition. In following this rally, I tried to contact a representative from the Electronic Frontier Foundation to schedule an interview. I emailed them, and finally I got a response directing me to email someone else. So I did, and I got no response from them. But of course, at least it's some form of human contact. Now, what you might be thinking at this point is, okay, so the government is watching everything I do, but I'm not doing anything illegal, so it doesn't affect me. It doesn't matter. But it does matter. It matters because allowing the government to watch what we do on the internet is the very first step toward allowing the government to controlling what we do on the internet. And we've already seen some of this put into practice. For example, you might have heard of or even been implicated in something involving the DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. And the Digital Millennium Copyright Act basically allows the government to grant corporations who have copyrights, like record labels, movie studios, things like that, it allows them to take things down from the internet if they think it infringes on their copyright. Which sounds like a very good idea in theory, but much like everything, it doesn't work very well in practice. It's been horribly abused. On sites like YouTube, hundreds of thousands of videos have been removed for alleged copyright infringement when they really don't contain much copyright infringement at all. Videos of children have been removed because of like a TV on in the background showing some television show. In fact, there was one famous case where someone claimed to have copyrighted the number pi and successfully got a video removed from YouTube because of it. Now, that's what happens when we give this right to police the web to individual corporations. But what happens when we give that right to the government? You might remember a website called Mega Upload. May she rest in peace. Now, Mega Upload was, as its name implies, a website where people can upload their files. And of course, like any service that offers such features, it's going to have its fair share of copyright infringing material. But what happened was the US government decided they didn't like this, specifically the FBI did, and they decided to take Mega Upload down. That's what you would see if you went to the website today. They took down the entire website under the guise of privacy. But the thing is, not all of Mega Upload was copyright infringing material. In fact, Mega Upload hosted many people's personal pictures or legal documents or things. And in fact, so many people lost their data due to this takedown that it was estimated that Mega Upload comprised about 11% of the entire internet in one website, all gone in one fell swoop by the US government. And what's even more disturbing is that Mega Upload wasn't even an American company. It was a company in New Zealand hosting their website in Hong Kong. So here we are just going into other countries and taking down their websites. Is that really a function of the US government? I didn't think so either. Now, in talking about the subject that is the web, what's a good way to get involved with that? Well, clearly the answer is to become a part of it. Back to you. Okay. I've created a small website that basically demonstrates to you exactly what's going on here. wyattkaufman.com/apgov. You can visit that during the Q&A or after the show if you'd like. And the website basically shows you exactly how the government and the advertisers are doing what they're doing, how they keep track of what websites you visit, how often you visit them, where you're located when you visit them. It has some links to companies that have been caught handing their data over to the NSA, very big companies, no spoilers. They basically collect all the data and then hand it over to the NSA. It also has some insightful links to places where you can help support this cause, links to the online petition that accompanied that rally, link to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and also a couple links to tools that can help increase your online anonymity, such as the Tor browser. Now, at this point, I'd like to take any questions that you guys have. If you have any questions about my involvement in this subject, or if there's anything you'd like me to elaborate on or discuss. And yeah, if I don't know anything, we also have a highly trained team of fact checkers backstage. If there's anything I don't know. Anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Yes?
To what extent do you protect your own online privacy?
I've used Tor on occasion. I have AdBlock. Tor browser, basically what it does is, so your computer, when it connects to the internet, it emits an IP address. And the IP address is basically a unique identifier for your computer on the internet. It's a number usually like 10 or 12 digits long. And what Tor does is it basically takes your, and from the IP address you can gather where the user is located. And Tor bounces your IP around the world. Like, it sends your request to a computer in China, and that computer sends your request to a computer in Sweden, and then basically your internet connection gets bounced all around the world, so whoever is on the other end can't see exactly where you're coming from. And AdBlock, basically, it has a long list of things that how to test if something on a web page is an ad, and it'll remove it from the web page. Anybody else have any other questions? Yes?
Is Tor still safe to use? Wasn't it hacked about 3 months ago?
Tor, the concept is safe, but like anything, it can be hacked. I think, yeah, like if you use it, you don't lose anything. Like the worst that could happen is they actually find out where you are or what operating system you're using or some detail like that. But generally, Tor is considered pretty safe. It was originally developed for the US military, and then it was published open source. Yes? The founder, Kim.com, that he actually changed his name to that. He lives in New Zealand. About a year after Megaupload was shut down, he relaunched the website. I'm not sure exactly what provisions he took in order to make sure it didn't get taken down again, but I know it was relaunched recently. Who else had a question? Somebody back there? Yeah.
So where exactly do the ad companies get their information?
Basically, I've looked into a bit of how Relead works, and basically what they do is they have something on one website that, like if somebody creates an account and says fill in your email, fill in your address and something, and then they store that information so that any other website using Relead can also find that information. So basically, when you fill out your address on like Amazon or something, I don't know if Amazon uses Relead, but that's an example. If you fill out your information on one website, another website could inexplicably gain access to it. Yes? You can go first. But also the thing is, Megaupload wasn't designed for that. It was just something that people were doing with it. So, like, a more sensible path for the government to take in doing that would have been to just take down the copyright infringing material that was there, but instead they took down the whole website. Like, the concept of the website itself is perfectly legal. Just what the people were doing with it was not. Yes? The thing about torrents is that the way torrents work technologically is that instead of files on a website, you download the file. The way it works is instead of downloading the file from the website, you actually download the file from someone else's computer. It makes it faster that way. And because of that, technically, it does constitute that you're uploading copyright infringing material to the internet. So that's why torrents are a bit more in the gray area. It's like sometimes people get arrested for torrenting. But yeah, as opposed to a straight download where you're getting it from the website, so you're not guilty of uploading anything. Like copyright infringement legislation has to do with only uploading, not downloading. Any other questions? Yes? What we've seen so far is they either like to diminish the privacy or not do anything at all. What we're seeing so far is that the government is really only going to make things worse. They're not going to go the other direction on this at all. Yes?
Patriot Act, NSA, and all these other institutions have existed since the early 2000s and even beforehand. And there's even a cover story in Time magazine in 2006, 2007 concerning the NSA. Why is it now that the general public is caring about these issues?
It's more because of, what was the 2006, 2007 Time magazine cover?
It was like a few years back, Time magazine had an issue cover front of NSA, and I don't remember the details, but they did do a report on the NSA.
I think it's sort of a revelation that, like, this is something that people have suspected a lot, that the government is storing all the information we do on the web, but now we've actually confirmed it. Like, a person who worked at the NSA, Edward Snowden, came out and actually said, we're definitely doing this. Any other questions? Yes?
So earlier you said that copyright only deals with uploading things to the internet. So we hear the word piracy a lot.
Yeah.
So let's say you were to download a movie illegally. Unless you were to upload it, you couldn't be convicted of piracy, so to speak.
That's the way that the law is written, and it's pretty much always observed that way. Like, if you go to a streaming website where you watch a movie, you won't get in trouble for that, but it's the actual uploading of material that constitutes that. So that's why torrents are sometimes enforced, because they technically do constitute uploading technologically. Yes?
When I go to your website
Mhm.
and I look, and you look at how many times I've been there before and the IP address from which I am accessing your website, what else are you looking at online that you're not posting?
All the information on the website is everything that's possible that I can gather without using a service like Readly because I don't want to give them money. But basically, the IP address I can gather because that's how your computer connects to the internet. My server has to know that in order for you to be able to access my website. How many times you visit the website, that's done through a technology called cookies. A browser cookie that's put on your computer. It's basically any data that the website can store. So every time you go to the page, my website stores a cookie on your computer that says they visited this page this many times.
So you're not going to know the last 50 books I bought on Amazon or...
Correct. And also the location, that's done because IP addresses, they vary based on where they're located. Like what IP addresses that start with 76 are in California or something like that. Yeah. What did I get wrong? Interesting case. When I programmed that, I had it so that if it was on iOS, it was automatically Safari. I will fix that when I get backstage. Yes. Yeah.
So what's your opinion on how Congress should balance the rights of corporations and copyright, but also balance our rights as users of the internet?
You know, there's something interesting about that. Hang on a second. I have something to show you. My fellow classmates, residents of the United States, and users of the internet, we have to overhaul the way that our government looks at the web. Exactly what is their motivation for overseeing all of our online operations? Well, what if they one day decide to eradicate the web of any website that poses any sort of minor criticism? It's happened before, and it's happening as we speak, and we can't let the web fall prey to such totalitarian control of the modern media. The openness of the web is one of the few remaining frontiers for a potential of online privacy in this world of cameras at intersections and x-rays at airports. It's the only remaining potential for privacy that we have. Only on the web can anybody anonymously seek help for the issues that trouble them. And only on the web can anybody find any excerpt from the vast wealth of human knowledge at any time at the click of a few buttons. We need to protect the web from suffering beneath server upon server of personal information unwittingly collected from users and barrages of data mining advertisements. Imagine if everything you've ever done on the web has been stored under your name and your contact info. It shouldn't be difficult to imagine because we now know that that's exactly what's happening. The government and the advertisers have confirmed it to us. And you try to ask them exactly what they do know about it, the information that they have collected. They either ignore you altogether or they deem you a threat to national security. We need to teach the government that the web isn't some little experimental plaything that they can interfere with. It is a ubiquitous, living, breathing entity that is going to hold our culture together. And perhaps the most difficult, and perhaps the most beautiful part of it is that no matter what they do, no matter how invasive online surveillance gets, there will always be some brilliant person out there who comes up with some way to counter it. Tor, adblock, proxy, all fine inventions specifically suited to counter the invasiveness of online surveillance. So what we need to do is we need to teach Congress that we deserve our rights as people. We've had a right to privacy ever since the Fourth Amendment. The people have had enough. You've seen the pictures of the protests, the angry comments on YouTube and Reddit. We need to preserve our right to privacy in the digital world. As I said, we have right to privacy in the physical world ever since the Fourth Amendment, and we need to extend that right to privacy to the digital world. It's the same reason why our houses are made of glass, why we store valuables in safes, and why our bank accounts have PIN numbers. It's because we have a right to privacy in the physical world, and it's about time we get the government to treat the digital world in the very same way. Does that answer your question? Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you to James Alden, Sheila Chiasson, the tech people at the PAC. Thank you to the Electronic Frontier Foundation and all the people I corresponded to for this project. And thank you to each and every one of you for coming today. Good night.